I'm Silver Donald Cameron. In 1994, I interviewed a number of veterans and their wives about their experiences during World War II. The result was a show called The Crimson Flower of Battle, which was broadcast nationally on Vision TV and has been shown several times here on Talil. Our veterans had truly remarkable stories to tell, and we weren't able to use all of them in the network show. Over the next few weeks and months, however, Talil is pleased to present the complete tapes of these interviews just as they were recorded. The sound and the picture aren't always perfect. You can sometimes hear people speaking in the background, and occasionally someone walks in front of the camera. But these tapes are important. They're part of the heritage of our island, they're part of the history of the war, and some of the people that we interviewed are no longer living. Today, Frankie Landry of Poulamon, who was able to tell us not only about his own experiences, but to give us some sense of the Northside men who were lost in the First World War. Frankie died on March 15th, 1998. You told me the other day, you mentioned the men enlisting down at the hall.
The what?
The men enlisting down at the hall, going to war?
Oh, yes. For the First War, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Well, you know, the First War, they were recruiting people from 18 to 35, and some of them were enlisting then, and some of them, of course, were holding back. You see, until perhaps after perhaps the first or second year of the war was there. So I remember one night here when most of the young people were going to be recruited anyway. And there was a fellow from Pity the Great that was with the recruiting officer from Halifax. Let me see now, I could tell you his name, but I haven't got it on just now. He used to be a counselor. Anyway, what you call, they were in the hall, and they all joined together, and they all enlisted. I think there was about 8 or 10 of them in the school's hall. So I don't know too much more about that there, you know.
Who were they? What, do you remember their names, and how many came back?
Well, let me see. There was Leonard Foucher. He used to live right. You want me to? Want to tell you where he lived? He lived right across where Jerome lives now. Tom Foucher's son. And there was Ambrose Langlois. He was wounded quite bad. He got married, went to the States, and he died. In fact, he left home. He was living with me, him and his wife, and he went to Sydney and died. Now there was a Foucher fellow that died in the 4-year war. And you remember Angus Bona? Well, it was Angus Bona's brother that died. That's one from Porieville. Right. And Henry Britt, that's Jim Britt's brother, died after he was in England. And Alphonse Shannon died on the way on the boat trip from Halifax to England. He died on the way out. Now I wouldn't know too much more about that. I was young, you know, at that time, but I remember that well, though.
But that's about half, eh?
Pardon?
That's about half, almost half of them that enlisted.
Oh, there was quite a few of them. There was Alva Burke and there was R.V. Burke. And, well, you know, you're getting me on that there, you know. I don't know. I don't remember too much. I remember when they enlisted or when they went to the war, but there's quite a few of them.
Yeah.
On the island here.
Did the island feel the war? Like, if you were living here, would you know there was a war going on, except for the men being gone? Hmm?
Well, a war is quite a commotion for people going away. They have their relatives there. There was Leonard Pertus's brother there. He was a lieutenant in the First War. He had 2 or 3 years college here. That's why before he left here. I remember him walking the street before he left. And well, he lost his life in a plane.
He was a flyer. He flew?
He was oh sure, yeah. I don't know if he was really a pilot or not. I believe he was a pilot. See? And that time, you know, if you were a pilot in a plane during the First War, there wasn't 2 planes going on. Mm-hmm. It was quite an important thing. So I remember that. His father was a captain, and he had little money, and he was to college. He had the education anyway. Yeah.
When the word would come back that somebody was killed, what would happen in the village?
Well, all the people here on the island, very few of them had a different religion. They were mostly all Roman Catholics. And the first thing they'd have, of course, would be service at church for the deceased. And it was quite a commotion when somebody died like that, you know. You don't remember Phil Poirier?
Yes.
Well, Phil Poirier's brother was killed right alongside of his cousin. And I heard the story after they came back after the war. See? And my wife's first husband was in the First War. He got wounded. He got a bullet through the stern here, and he took a chunk of flesh out. See, but he wasn't stopped. See? So anyway, I remember him telling us that he was in the trenches anyway. Him and let me say, a Landry fellow from Pullman here. He had more guts than the fellow was thinking perhaps that they'd die, you know. And anyway, both of them came back, and there was all kinds of stories, you know, I can't tell you all the stories that there was. I remember my second wife's brother here was at war, and a real blonde. And they were coming across one night, and there was an old barn where they were. So somebody told the stories to Henry about people hiding in the barn. See, Germans. So anyway, they went there, and of course they weren't supposed to take anybody alive. Okay. If they'd find somebody, they were supposed to, I guess, kill them. So I don't know if he killed anybody, but as soon as he opened the door, the fellow was there. There was 2 or 3 fellows there hid. So what they done, I don't know. Couldn't tell you that. But it was my wife's brother. See? That would be some story there. There's some fellows from Martinique in the Second World War that could tell you a lot of stories. Oh yes, they could. They were taken prisoners there for 2 or 3 years.
Who was that?
Well, one of them is dead. His brother's still living. That would be a forger from Martinique.
Harvey.
Harvey is still living, is he?
Harvey's died.
Harvey died. Well, this is Harvey's brother.
Yeah,
Stanley.
Yeah.
He could tell you stories about that. There were 3 brothers there at war, in the last war. Tell you quite stories.
When did the people decide to put a monument? And how did that happen?
You got me on that. Now I don't know. I don't know if the monument was landed on Pillamong Wharf. And I wasn't very old at the time. I was born in 1904. And I don't know how old I was at that time, but I remember Arthur O'Brien was the storekeeper in what you call it, where the restaurant is in the schools there. And he had horse and team and everything. He had a flat four-wheel machine that was all with horse. It was right low. So they put the base on that. I remember when they loaded the base. The base was perhaps a couple of tons. It's granite. I remember that well. I was on the wharf when they hauled that. And they hauled that through the schools, and of course they landed that there. I don't know. I wasn't there when they landed, but I was following the what you call the schools anyway. So as far as putting up, I wasn't there when they put it up. But I know how they did. You know, they put the base in there and they made a foundation, and then the colored what you call with the inscription, with the names of the soldier that was dead. I think, you know how many names there is in that?
No.
There's 3, 4, 5. I believe there's 6 names there. Mm-hmm. See, and anyway, they sealed that in lead. You put a lead base between the two to stick that together. Then they put the top on. Now, that's about as much as I can tell you on that.
Yeah. What that's like one tombstone. It's like one tombstone for the boys that weren't coming back.
Yeah.
You know? And I wondered if the people had thought about it and thought, well, they're never going to have a tombstone here unless we build a monument.
You know, the people of the First War wasn't looked after at all like they did in the Second World War. The Second World War, the soldiers are well taken care of. But when my first wife's husband died, they were putting the stones, you know, in the graveyard where the soldiers were died and they were buried, you know, people that was at the First War. And my wife had to buy her own stone at that time. So Boucher from West Arishot, this is just a story, but Boucher from West Arishot went, if it would have been for the Boucher, she'd have got something out of it. But this was Father Boudreau that came here after that. And she had told Boucher from Arishot, that was the undertaker, that and he was putting stones in there for the dead. And I think she charged her $150 at that time. But the Second World War, you get your own stone free. So they came with a story when Father Boudreau was there after Father Boucher died, and they were putting monuments for the soldiers that died in the First War. But my wife had bought hers. But it was understood with Boucher when they put that there. He says, if you get help on that, he said they'll pay your money back. Father Boudreau never did. And that's a true story. That happened when Father Boudreau was here.
Do you remember anything about what that monument cost?
No, I wouldn't know. Oh, it wasn't too expensive at that time. I don't think so.
I heard someone say $50, and the fellow gave them a break because he was a veteran too.
$50 for the monument? Yeah. I kind of heard the story that they cost $400. Now I don't know.
Could have.
But I wouldn't say that it's that would be a true answer there. But I heard something about that. Well, $400 at that time was a lot of money, I suppose. Huh? Perhaps it wasn't any more than that.
Did they take up a collection for it or anything?
That I couldn't tell you. No, I don't know how that was put there, what it was paid for, or anything.
Were there shortages in the Second World War? There were food shortages and rations and all that kind of thing.
There's what?
There were food shortages, and you had ration tickets. Remember little ration cards that you had?
Not during the war.
No?
And very little here. There was an awful ration in England because I remember I took the sister that was there for 32 years, and when I took her from Halifax to take her to Boston, she said they were allowed 2 pounds of sugar a month. That's all. That's Mother Fulbert. And but she had a bigger allowance because she was looking after children in an institution. But that's how much they were rationing. But I remember one thing. After the First War, you know Dominion Coal Company. This is a story that I know. I was there. It happened when I was there. You know, the Dominion Coal Company was shipping coal to England. And they had boats. Now, I was at the lighthouse, and of course I remember there was boats that came and put them along harbor in the ice, and they stayed there for a whole week. Now, the people from around here couldn't go to the States. They weren't allowed to go to the States because the United States was keeping the labor for themselves, and they were stopped. Now, my father-in-law here was one of them, and there was a fellow across the street here. I think there was 8 or 9. And one boat was the Turret Court. And there was another boat there, it was the Corona. And they were in Pullman Harbor for a whole week. See? Do you know how much they were getting to go to Rotterdam, England? $35 a month. And I heard after that, the following year, I think it was up to $100 a month. You know why? Dominion Coal Company, the boat what was going, they were under English registry. Then they became the property of the Dominion Coal Company, and they were giving them more money. Now, well, I was at the lighthouse, and I thought I had a position. I was at the lighthouse on $43 a month, and they were getting $35 to go to England. That's a true story. I remember that well. Now, that was perhaps about, oh, gee whiz, it could have been, I took the lighthouse when I was 17. Could have been about 2 years after I was there.
You were at the lighthouse in the Second War, right? Throughout the...
Oh, yeah, right through. Right through, yeah.
Did it affect you there?
No, but you know what you call patrol boats were going through here, right through the passage here. You know, I went aboard some of them. Corvettes there. I remember one time I was fishing lobsters. They were standing by there in the passage here. And I went alongside the boat, and of course, you seen I had lobsters in the boat, you know, and I fired a lobster to one of them. He was fishing sculpins. Back of the boat, and I fired him a lobster. Oh, what you call this quite a, when you live here all your life, it's quite a story. I was never away, you know, I came here all my life.
Was the Second World War any different for somebody living here?
The Second World War, the draft wasn't as heavy. I don't know. You know, some of them, you know, they weren't taking married people, you know, for a while. Do you know what happened to Doris and her husband there in the schools? He was supposed to be drafted, and they got married to avoid the draft.
Oh, really?
That's true.
Mayor?
Oh, Mayor, yeah. Oh, yes, that's true. And his brother too I don't know about the Mayor, but his brother for sure. The one that's that's got the store in our shed.
It is.
It is. Yeah, you'll find out about that. They'll tell you about it. Damn right. Yeah.
Well, they stayed married.
Huh?
They stayed married.
They stayed married, yeah. But he was exempted from going to war. So because he was married. Yeah.
Do you remember any of the people that were lost from here in the Second War? Can you give us any
Oh yeah.
who they,
Oh yes. What you call there's a fella. You know, there's a fella that left Sydney in a Corvette, and he was torpedoed between North Sydney and Newfoundland, and they never heard anything about it. And I'm going to tell you, it's John Pertus's brother, Leonard's son. You might have heard that before. And another one, Fougere, was lost too. And he was, I guess they were supposed to get married with Susan Murphy. He got grounded. They were torpedoed. And after a while, you know the Marble Mountain, they were taking Marble Mountain stuff there for a steel plant one time. And that was transferred to Newfoundland. Newfoundland had, I don't know if it was better product or what it was anyway, but anyway there's a place there. And there was the Archelaga, Dominion Cobalt, and there was another big one there. Landry-War was on her. And they told the crew to abandon the ship. And they sunk her right there, right in the harbor going in. Newfoundland. They were going for this gypsum or something, or anyway something pertaining to make steel. And that's in Newfoundland.
It was a German vessel.
Huh?
A German vessel just came up beside.
Oh yes, with the torpedoes. The torpedo surfaced, and they told them to get off the ship because they were going to sink the ship. And that's it.
At least they gave him a chance.
Oh, there's a couple of them that they done away with right there, going in for the load. Remember that? You know, the Second World War was what, 6 years? That's it. You know, the First World War was 24. Yep. So them are old stories.
You remember the kids collecting steel and things like that? Lloyd was saying he remembers in the Second World War as kids collecting steel that or used metal, scrap metal, and you'd send it off and they'd melt it down and use it for the war effort.
No, we don't remember that. No. You know, in little villages like this, like Isle Madame, outside of people going to war, their relatives would feel it very much. But outside of that, they didn't feel the effect of the war too much. I mean, in something that they'd want, they always had plenty to eat or something. Or I wouldn't say that there was poverty around on Landry-War Island at that time.
You know, I remember when I was 8 when the war ended. But I remember during the war, the shortage of butter and the shortage of sugar and the little ration coupons that you'd take when you had to buy them. This is in Vancouver, right? But of course here you weren't short of butter, you had a cow. Right?
I wonder if there was there ration on cars after the First War?
After, I don't know, but in the Second War.
Well, do you know what time the Second World War ended? What year?
45.
In 45. let me see, 45. Well, I bought my first car in Sydney in 49. And I had to get a license, I had to get a permit to buy a car. And only with the parish priest here that was with me. He had bought one, I guess, and I don't know if I'd have got one. And I gave the fellow a quarter to get a permit to buy a car. And I bought a Dodge car for $1,500 straight. That's in 1947, I think. See? And there was a ration on tires. There was a ration on gas. Leo Martel there, I think he had, I don't know, there was a ration on liquor at that time. Leo Martel there, the fellow that was keeping the garage, that had, what do you call it, he got caught there, but he got caught about a ration, I think, on, I think people used to get permits so much in a family or something, and he had perhaps 2 or 3 families of his own. And a fellow found a ticket or something under a mat or something, he was sold, something like that. That's true. Oh, yes. Well, he quit, though. He quit after that, but perhaps he had made a little money there, see? They were bootlegging, yeah. Yeah.
Let me take you back to the first war and the first men that went.
Pardon?
Let me take you back to the first war and the men that signed up at the hall, you know? When you think back on those, you knew those fellows, right? There was a Fougere, you said, and there was...
Oh, I know them well.
What kind of people were they? What were they like?
Well...
They take them one at a time, yeah?
Oh, I'm going to tell you. They were nice boys, nice families. And Leonard Fougere was the only boy in the family, see? And, well, he came back after the war. And Ambrose Landry-War, what you call, he was wounded there. He was wounded in the side, I think. And oh, they were nice people.
You remember anything special about any of them? And any that played music or had a especially good sense of humor or some kind of skill or anything? You know, I'd just like to get a feel for the people behind the name.
Well, the fellow that died on the way on the boat there, Shannon, he was well known in the family home, because I'm going to tell you why. They were living way out of the ferry here, see, a long way, and then they had to walk to church and everything. Well, you know, when it came a certain age, you know, everybody was the priest used to get them to get their first communion. And I remember him coming home, staying home to go to church to have his first communion the following day. Nice fellow, beautiful, nice, you know, nice family and everything. And you take Henry Britt, the one that died in England. Well, Jim Britt's family was supposed to be a nice family. I can't see anything.
Yeah. Jim was a teacher.
After the first war, when they came from the first war, they were paid 6 months. And everything was flying after they came from war. They had beautiful clothes, you know, at that time you could buy a suit of clothes for $20 or so, you know. I don't know how much they were getting, but they were getting 6 months wages after the war. And I remember that well. And my God, what you call it, they made everything was flying.
They have some good parties?
Oh, they had dances and everything, oh yeah. Yeah.
Were they
Now is the hour that we must say goodbye. Soon you'll be sailing far across the sea. While you're away, oh please remember me.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not worry them, as the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we shall remember them.